Time does not define your worth. My dear friends, there is a peculiar burden that time seems to lay upon our shoulders, a whispering doubt that tells us we are less than we once were. The world, in its endless march forward, measures worth in terms of youth, in vigor, in productivity. But I tell you now, with all the conviction of truth, that time does not define your worth. It is a falsehood, a deception, to believe that as the years pass, the value of your soul diminishes. The clock may mark the hours, but it does not measure the depths of wisdom, nor can it weigh the wealth of experience carried in a single heart. The essence of who you are is not dictated by the fading of youth, but by the character you have built and the light you continue to shine. Age is often painted as a decline, but I ask you to see it instead as an ascension, a rising above the frivolities of youth into the heights of understanding. It is in age that we shed our illusions and see the world for what it truly is. We are not what we once were, but neither should we wish to be. There is a greater beauty in a soul that has loved deeply, suffered bravely, and endured faithfully. What a tragedy it is that many spend their latter years in the shadow of regret, believing their best days are behind them. It is not so. If you have breath, you have purpose. If you have life, you have something to give. The world does not need merely the strength of youth, but the guidance of those who have walked before. The young may march with fervor, but they need the wisdom of those who have seen the battlefields of life to direct their steps. We often admire the mighty oak, standing firm against the wind, towering with grandeur, its roots deeply set into the earth. But that oak did not spring forth in an instant. It grew, season upon season, storm upon storm, each passing year adding strength to its form. It is not lesser now because it is older. It is greater. And so it is with you. Do not measure your worth by the fleeting standards of the world. The world has always been fickle in its affections, chasing after the transient and discarding what is lasting. But truth endures, and the truth is this: your worth is not in your youth, nor in your achievements, nor in the speed at which you once ran. Your worth is in the depth of your soul, the kindness of your spirit, the wisdom of your years. If you are told that your time has passed, do not believe it. If you are made to feel that you are no longer needed, do not accept it. The pages of history are filled with men and women who found their greatest purpose when the world deemed them past their prime. Moses was 80 when he led his people to freedom. Beethoven composed some of his finest symphonies when his ears had long since betrayed him. And C.S. Lewis himself did not write his greatest works in the bloom of youth, but in the maturity of wisdom. We are not bound by time. We are bound by eternity. What we do now, in these later years, echoes beyond the confines of this world. A word of encouragement, a lesson taught, a kindness given. These things do not perish. They ripple outward, touching lives beyond what we can see. A soul filled with love and wisdom is never wasted, never without purpose. There is something sacred in the lines upon your face, in the hands that have known toil, in the eyes that have seen sorrow and still find joy. These are not marks of loss, but of gain. They are the evidence of a life well lived, of a spirit that has endured and grown stronger. So do not listen to the world when it tells you that your time is over. It is not over until you draw your final breath, and even then, your legacy, your love, your influence will live on in the lives you have touched. Your worth is immeasurable, unshaken by the passing of years. You are not a fading light. You are a steady, burning flame, a beacon for those who follow. Take heart, dear soul, and know this truth. Time does not define your worth, for your worth is eternal. The soul is not bound by years. My dear friends, we have been led to believe that time is our master, that its passage marks our decline, that with each year we lose more than we gain. But let me tell you, this is a great falsehood, for the soul is not bound by years, nor is its worth measured by the ticking of a clock. The world will tell you that youth is the season of strength, of possibility, and that once it has passed, all that remains is the slow march toward the end. But what folly! The soul does not wither as the body does. The soul, if anything, grows stronger, richer, wiser. You have heard the whisper in your heart that tells you there is more to life than mere age, that the essence of who you are is not dictated by the number of birthdays you have seen. That whisper is the voice of truth. Consider the great oak, standing firm despite the centuries. Its bark may bear the scars of time, but its roots dig ever deeper, and its branches stretch ever wider. So it is with the soul. With each passing year, it does not shrink, it expands. The world values the quickness of youth, but speed is no measure of worth. A river rushing down the mountain is not greater than the deep sea that holds the mysteries of the earth. The young may be swift, but the aged are profound. Do not listen to those who say that you have had your time, that your greatest days are behind you. Who are they to declare the limits of your journey? The author of your story is not the world, nor is it the clock. It is your own indomitable spirit. There is something within you that remains untouched by time, unbroken by the passing years. It is the part of you that loves, that hopes, that dreams. This is the soul, and it is eternal. The mind may forget, the hands may tremble, but the soul remains a glowing ember, ready to burst into flame at the right breath of inspiration. You have known suffering, you have walked through hardship, and yet you stand. That is the measure of a soul untouched by time. The strength to endure, the courage to continue, the wisdom to rise. If you think your worth diminishes with time, let me remind you, a book is not made lesser by its final chapters. Rather, it is in those chapters that the story's greatest meaning is often revealed. Do not allow the world to convince you that your value is decreasing. If anything, you are more valuable now than you have ever been. For you carry within you the lessons of a lifetime. A young man may speak of courage, but an old man has lived it. A child may dream of adventure, but the elder has walked the road and returned with tales of wonder. There is no substitute for the wisdom gained through years. If you have breath, you have purpose. If you have thought, you have power. If you have love within you, you have something that time itself cannot take away. Do not think that the days behind you are greater than the days ahead, for the soul does not fade into darkness. Rather, it burns brighter as it draws closer to the source of all light. Some will say that time steals from us, that it takes away all that we cherish. But time does not steal. It refines. What is false? What is fleeting? It strips away. What remains is what has always been true. Have you ever watched the sunset over the horizon? It does not collapse into darkness all at once. No, it lingers, casting its most glorious colors before night arrives. So, it is with a soul in the later years. The world may look at you and see years, but heaven looks at you and sees eternity. The spirit within you was not made for a mere handful of decades. It was made for something far beyond the reach of time. Think of the fire that is burned in your heart throughout your life. The passions, the dreams, the love. Has that fire been extinguished? No, it is there still, waiting for you to stoke its embers once more. There is much left for you to do. Your story is not over. Your purpose is not finished. The soul is not a thing of the past. It is forever a thing of the present. So let the young run fast. You, however, walk with wisdom. Let the world chase after fleeting things. You, however, hold to the eternal. For the soul is not bound by years, and neither are you.